Am I late to this idea? Absolutely. Still gonna make the video though. So I was sitting here eating dinner, suffering from ADD, and a video popped up that I watched, which was just some guy ripping into the Minecraft movie trailer. And I kind of got to thinking to myself, what if I was tasked with making a Minecraft movie? What would it look like? What would I do personally to see to it that the Minecraft movie was in fact a success? So I got to thinking about it, and I think I have one of two ways it could go. And it all really depends on how exactly the movie is going to be made. Like, for instance, does it have to be live action or can it be animated? I feel like the easiest solution, and what I feel like most people expected out of a Minecraft movie, was it to be animated. And if it was like completely 100% animated, basically just make story mode. Because that game was, I think it flopped on its release, but it kind of aged like fine wine, especially compared to the Minecraft movie trailer. I think people are really realizing how, if not fantastic story movie was or story mode was, how good it is in comparison to the dumpster fire we're probably going to get once the Minecraft movie releases. And it just brings up a lot of appreciation for that. But I kind of got to thinking to myself, what would a Minecraft movie look like if it had to be live action and was successful? So what would I do? So now what we're going to talk about in this video is basically what would I try to create with a live action Minecraft movie. So about 9 years ago, my brother had a book. I believe it was called The Island. And it was some sort of a Minecraft story extension. And again, if I'm getting this completely wrong, don't come at me. I haven't thought about this in 9 years. But one essence from that book was what I feel like could be the greatest start to a live action Minecraft movie. And it would be the fact that the character just is in the world. He has no idea who he is, where he's from, where exactly he is now. All he knows is that he's not from there. And that right there, I feel like could be a fantastic start. Oh, before I go back into, or before I continue on with the story creation of it, I feel like if you were going to make a movie, it would have to, as I mentioned, done one of two ways: either fully live action or fully animated. So for this description, imagine everything live action. Boom, like your opening scene could be just slowly panning open eyes in like a first person camera of someone literally just waking up on a beach, standing up, and you could have a little bit of like self dialogue explaining like, oh no, like what, like who what's going on here. And it's kind of walking around, just looking around, seeing like a forest right next to a beach of an endless ocean and all that good jazz. And the character obviously would want to, expand his knowledge on exactly where he is and what he's doing and that kind of thing. So you could have the character in like the first bit of conflict be, he's got to find food, he's got to find something like that, and make the movie almost like a Castaway esque survival scenario. And you could have first 10-15 minutes of the movie being this and him getting ready for his first night. So he builds a shelter, tries to find water supply, because let's say he has basic survival skills, and during that night he is interrupted by a zombie. And then you can have like your first instance of something might be wrong with this world, or something might be different, that is that he immediately knows that something is seriously off. So next morning you can have the character wake up, goes around, he might even see like a burning zombie on the ground, and he would then realize that these kind of things burn in daylight. Maybe have him come across a charred corpse of a skeleton, realizing those burn in daylight, or maybe just a pile of bones that you could have later on come back to life. Just kind of world building, and have the character explore. And as the character continues moving on, he would stumble across a village where the people there could look really weird and grotesque, almost keeping to the style of the villagers in the game, because it's very evident that the villagers and the character, who would, in for future reference, will either be called the character or the spawn, which I feel like was a thing from the book, but I could be wrong. I've never read the book, but he could meet those grotesque, weird looking villagers who don't speak a language, but are offering him things in exchange for things. Like, he could be walking around with like an iron shovel he found in the forest or something like that. And then the villager could offer him like a map for it and that kind of thing. And so that way in the movie, you could still pay homage to the trading system that is in Minecraft without, just like, while still including the villagers and having them be like this somewhat, I guess, it just make the world feel more full. And another point of conflict would be wondering, why can't he understand them? Why can't he hear, or like, why can't the villagers communicate and all that good jazz? So they could even offer him shelter. Then, maybe after a couple days go by, another big point of contention in the story is now you see like this raid of pillagers coming through to try and annihilate the village. And since our character, the Spawn, he has no idea exactly how to defend himself, what exactly he needs to do, you could have another character kind of swoop in, save the day, like being able to construct, or like, have him like build traps that are hidden in the dirt, have him secretly been to this village but we didn't know it before, and have like he have massive defenses ready that are hidden in plain sight to try to really catch the pillagers off guard. In doing this, you could build up the fact that the villagers, they knew exactly what to trade because they recognized that our character was like, I guess, a part of the Spawn race, because he wasn't a villager, and the other character who has been in the game for a while, or has been in the at that village for a long time, got familiar and comfortable with trading with them enough to where he could build traps to defend himself, because obviously this wouldn't have been the first raid. And throughout that interaction, after you see that show of force with the other character, he could meet our main protagonist. And then it's like, oh, I haven't seen a Spawn in so long, and all that kind of thing like that. And he could kind of explain a little bit about what exactly the world is that they're stuck in and what he's learned. And, you could even bring back that I am Steve portion from the Minecraft trailer. Because, if you want that real name drop kind of thing, have him dress up like Steve, but don't make it like some kind of cartoonish thing. Make him a traveler. Make him like just in our character's shoes. The fact that he's been here long, he just learned how to make the best of a bad situation, and have him struggle, to find, he's researching the world. He's trying to find out, how do people get here and how do people leave. So then our main protagonist could go with, for sake of ease of understandability, we'll call him Steve. Our character could go with Steve back to his fortress, whatever he would have built, and you could have just a ridiculous exposition dump right here. You could have Steve say, well, I have been here through 1,000 rotations. And the sun rotations, days, whatever you want to call it. And you could have Steve show different diagrams of everything he's learned, like about the desert temples, and even in the game, in the chiseled sandstone, there are like prophecies of like the Wither, and I think something related to the Nether. I'm not really exactly sure, but you could have him say, these are some prophecies. I know something's here, but I haven't been able to find out what yet. You could even have him say, there was someone else with me, another person called Alex, had been here for much longer than I have, and she was obsessed with this idea that there was another dimension, that there was a way out, and all it has to do with this. And he could like pull up like a chunk of obsidian and just say, this, she was convinced this had something to do with the way out. And maybe the Steve and our protagonist could go and, I don't know, explore like a jungle temple or something to have a hint towards another portal, or just stumble across a ruined nether portal where they could insinuate, maybe we need to do this kind of frame, or maybe even invent a new structure for the film, which had like an incomplete nether portal frame, where they would then collect more obsidian from around the area and everything they might have brought with them to construct the portal, strike it with something that, it maybe clues Alex left behind, ignite the portal, and think, voila, it's the way out. Because if you think back to the first time you played Minecraft, maybe like, and hopefully, you would have played before you got desensitized to everything in the game by YouTube. When you struck that portal for the first time, it was like, I've discovered something no one else knows about, that kind of thing. And there's no idea what's on the other side until you go through it. So maybe Steve and our protagonist can stand in the portal thinking they're about to leave together, so confident that Alex was right in every bit of her research and all of her knowledge was just correct. Then they're in hell. They just appear in the middle of that in the middle of just a red wasteland. And as they get out and stand, you could think, "Oh, this is the all hope is lost moment. The time where you realize, like, there's no way out. This is it. This was everything. She went missing here. Alex went missing here. And if do we do it wrong? All that kind of thing. And right as, like, the big give up moment, our protagonist could look off into the distance and see just through the nether fog enough that there is a sign, a torch, a chest, even something to say that one of the spawn had been here, Alex. So then they're like, oh, they're breadcrumbs. She's leaving breadcrumbs behind. That way, either she could come back or people could follow her. Maybe this was only the first piece of the puzzle. So, a little bit more hope has been reignited. I'll see myself out. So then they start to follow the breadcrumbs, and they can walk over some valleys, explore some very brief biomes, see, even more clues to the fact that, she was right here. It was soon. And then they could even stumble across a giant nether fortress. Know that jazz. And as they look up, maybe, like, depending on how you wanted to play the movie, but this is my idea, so I'm just going to live it up here. You could have, like, some fireball come ricocheting across one of the balcony or one of the walkways of the nether fortress as they realize something's going on up there. They could, struggle to, like, or quickly try to, like, look around and see, oh, there's a ladder or a staircase up to there. Let's go. Something needs our help, obviously. So they're going up to investigate, and then Steve finally lays his eyes on her. Alex. She's sitting there and working on, like, struggling to fight against a blaze. And right as, all the battle seems lost for her, Steve and their protagonist could come up and help slay the beast. And, it can have, like, that big tearful reunion moment. It's like, oh my goodness, we found you. And all that thing. Where it should be like, all right, I messed up. So the prophecies were wrong. I misinterpreted something where, like, this is only still, and I have no idea what to do here, but she could say, like, I met another spawn, and he, like, this person was on his deathbed, but he said there is a power here that's hidden within, like, skulls of the three kings of the nether or something ridiculous like that. The whole point being is whatever, like, she had found out while in the nether would point to three POIs, being like a bastion, a nether fortress, and something else created for the movie where a wither skeleton would be. And the whole point was, I know it doesn't really coincide with Minecraft's lore per se, but again, this is my script. I'm running away with whatever I want. And you could have these three wither skeletons be old kings, or even spawn. Since, the skeletons, they look similar to the build of Steve, maybe they could have just been mutated while in the nether. But whatever it is, their skulls hold power. And if you reattach their souls via the soul sand to the skull, it could generate some sort of nether magic that could push you home, in theory, is what they understand. So you could have them struggle across and fight the three kings to get the wither skeleton skulls. They bring it back to the overworld through the original portal that Alex had made, and they go back home. Then in the final battle of the movie, the big boss fight, if you will, they're at Steve's home as they put together this giant, like, just a collection of soul sand and place the skulls on the sand. Something magical starts to happen. A being starts to form, and boom, giant explosion. Our protagonist is thrown against the wall. He looks up and sees the absolute apocalyptic monstrosity that they have created, being the Wither. And it starts, like, basically breathing death upon them. You could have, like, this big fight scene where they try to slay down the Wither. And once it dies, your old casual, just big old explosion, and then behold the nether star. Even our protagonist can realize the power that's in this thing. But what exactly is the power? And that's something they don't know. But something else that could drop would be maybe an Eye of Ender or some kind of movie invented locator that would bring them towards the end portal. So then Alex might say, like, oh, while I was in the nether or something else, like, I found this piece of the puzzle. Then Steve could be like, oh, wait a minute, while I've been here, I found something too, where it could lead to a prophecy of another mythical beast, being a great dragon that once used to rule the world and now is trapped behind a barricade, similar to the way Minecraft's actual lore goes. And this could even be like huge sequel bait, looking towards the protagonist, saying, well, that didn't work. I think we have one more thing to do. Will you join us as the whole screen fades to black and then bam, title card, Minecraft. Was that so hard? No, but I feel like the way that they executed the movie, it seems like the idea of the Nether invading the overworld does align closer to Minecraft's actual lore. But I feel like fans would have rather, even if you had to like retcon some things, update the game to change graphics into one thing or another, because not like most of the agreed upon Minecraft lore is not necessarily canon. And if you had to go back and change some of it to fit a movie, I feel like fans would have really appreciated that more in that regard. And even with the film, it doesn't necessarily even have to be like PG. I feel like a PG-13 rating or like an Avengers style conflict would have been great, because then like I feel like a really sophisticated movie that would have been done in live action would have kind of gone over a lot of children's heads. Whereas when they hit teenager or when they hit the teenage years, they could really appreciate it more. And plus, the kids that grew up with Minecraft in its infancy stage are mostly adults anyways. And they would really appreciate that kind of like real sense of conflict. Like, will you lose? Is this a happy ending movie? And on top of that, the fact that Minecraft's lore isn't necessarily complete because we almost take place way in the future of when most of the Minecraft lore happened. So it's really unknown exactly what exactly the real story is. And there are some things you could change with the script. It's not like, I'm thinking of most of this on the spot. But even in the second movie, it's like a super short synopsis. You could have that whole thing being the journey to the end, discovering the Ender Man. Like maybe even give a little bit more, flesh out the Enderman more, let him talk, like let him actually see the fact that these used to be people that are just been mutated and destroyed into the Enderman. Have it go through a giant, battle sequence with the dragon, and with the end portal being the actual way out, where you could even prompt you with a third sequel bait nonsense, or just have it be a full complete ending at two films where leave the world behind, leave it imperfect, or stay and try to purify the world of the zombies, skeletons, find out what's going on. You could even go into a third movie which is really in-depth, and even in the game fleshing out the alchemy, like the magics portion of everything that humans slash villagers can do. Maybe when villagers get too obsessed with the idea of magic, they could turn into witches. You could even see with the witches that they are working on um, mastering potions in their swamp huts, and even in the igloos. Maybe not necessarily in association with witches, but I always thought they were. In the very basement, they have a villager and a zombie villager, which they have all like being the witches or whoever lives in the igloos. They figured out the way to revert the zombie virus, shall we say. So you could even go into a third film that is really working on cleansing the upper side of the overworld. And even after that, you could explore the Nether even more, because in my little run through of the Nether, there wasn't really much content in that regard. So I feel like there was just so much more they could have done with the Minecraft movie that they didn't. It's disappointing, really. It really is. So anyway, that is my Minecraft movie rant. Microsoft, if you need a new writer, hit me up. So that's where I'm gonna leave it. If you actually want to see like a full step-by-step story of what I think the Minecraft movie could be, I'd be happy to talk about it more. But until then, that's pretty much where I'm going to leave it. I have dinner to eat. I haven't even finished that yet, so that should really be step one. Other than that, yeah, thanks for watching, and really not looking forward to the Minecraft movie coming out, just because I like to think of the game where it's at right now, and this is absolutely gonna taint its legacy if it's really that bad. Maybe they do like the Sonic thing where they market something ridiculous, change it at the last minute. That'd be so baller, wouldn't it? So anyway, peace.